Should you fix up your house or sell it as a fixer-upper? That, and we're talking about our dysfunctional child, gigantic child, the NAR, and pros and cons of living in Silicon Valley. On top of that, we'll do a quick market update. But let's get into this real quick. Should you sell your house as a fixer-upper before listing? Sorry, should you sell your house before you sell, or should you leave it as a fixer-upper? Now, it really depends on a lot of things. Now, we can go through this. I'll let you read this. You have to figure out who your buyer is, who's your target demographic, right? I mean, part of what we're doing is marketing your house. That's what I coach. When you hire me, I guide you and teach you about that. Look at all your different options, right? What are the differences between sinking money into it? How much money are you going to get back out of it, plus or minus, right? Because it's always a guess. What does the market look like? What does the buyer look like? Be realistic on pricing. Don't go crazy. And we'll get into all this all as an example. So I have two houses that I'm listing right now, and both we're going as is, not fixing anything up. We're doing like minor repairs. And the reason why is because, one, we see the market is contracting. We see it kind of coming back and saying, well, you know what? We'll buy a house. The buyers are saying we are going to buy a house, and I'll either pay a premium for a completely turnkey house, or I will do it myself. And those are the two different types of buyers. There's actually four different buyers that we look at. We look at luxury and investors, but we don't really talk about them on this channel because this is more about market conditions, how to market your house, how to get it ready. Now, I have a slew of different vendors that we use to make sure that your house gets fixed up, however we decide to do it. We can just put it on the market. We could do some minor repairs. We can do complete turnkey. Depends on how involved you want to be, how much money you want to throw out at it, and how much you think or we think we can get over it. Now, let's talk a little bit more about condition. Now, the two houses that I have right now, along with one of the houses I sold earlier this year, we sold it as is. Original. Kitchen was old. Original single pane windows. The one we sold in Cupertino, I believe, did not have air conditioning. These two have air conditioning. That's important when it comes to value because people will pay more for a house with air conditioning. But if you have houses that have major issues like, I don't know, leaky faucets, leaky pipes, old, decrepit, stuff that's just falling apart, those things need to be handled. Those are eyesores, right? They take away from the value of the house. So for example, this one we had, I want to call it a pergola. It was kind of attached to a house, but it was an overhang. They used it as a wood shop, and it was just hodgepodge put together. There's no value to it. It was falling apart, broken this. The roof was kind of leaking. So we demoed it, got rid of it. There was overhangs on the side yard. We took care of that, got rid of it. The backyard was overgrown. I had a stump in there. We had a stump in the front yard. The grass, we're leaving the grass dead. It's almost all dirt as is. Mainly because we could spend $500 and throw shredded bark on there. But you know what's going to happen is the buyer's going to have to take all that off. So, okay. Let's make it more convenient for the buyer. Why spend $500? You can throw everything to the side and then fix up the house and then put it back there. Yeah, absolutely. But it's just another step. Should we have taken it out or put some in? Maybe, but that's a judgment call that you and I will make when we go to sell your house. This one had some leaks in the tub, in the pipes. We fixed that. What else was there? Oh, the gutters were done wrong, and there was major roof rot, which we decided not to do. We're leaving it as is because the roof really does need to be replaced. I mean, completely replaced. And we're disclosing it. And the seller is a child of a parent who passed away, not on the property, and she has to deal with 4 or 5 other siblings. So her motivation is just get it sold, right? And I'm happy to do it either way. I'm happy to go and have that roof replaced. I'm happy to do it. Will it sell better and faster and for more money? Yes, but when you're looking at 1/5 or 1/6 of that money, there's no motivation to do it. Let's just get it sold. I've talked to a few investors, and their price was far too low for what the market could command. So we're going to put it on the market. We gave a lot of options, and that's it. That's my job, is to teach you or guide you through the options as to what potential costs you could do. We could have replaced the kitchen. We could have replaced the bathrooms. We could have redone the floor, everything, right? And we would have put $100,000 into it. And yeah, you would have made a whole lot more money, maybe another $100,000 on top of that. But then, the time, energy, the market could collapse. We don't know, right? So timing wise, they just want to get it done. Get it done. I've worked with other people where we're spending time and energy and fixing up a house right now and making it look pretty. We're redoing the kitchen, putting new counters on, new floors, new bathrooms, brand new bathrooms. We had an air conditioner put in, whole 9 yards, because they want as much money as they can to pull out of there. So really being realistic on what options you have, what your risk tolerance is, what your patience tolerance is, and what you really want to do. And my job, again, is to lay that out and give you all those options so we can kind of pick and choose and figure it out. As long as you're realistic on pricing, you're going to get the value out of that house, right? Now, you can either go full turnkey and go grayish and repaint the entire house and do a whole 9 yards, put $150,000 into it, and maybe you'll get $150,000 or maybe $175,000 more on top of that. But again, what realistically will happen is you put it on the market and let the buyers decide what the value is. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter it doesn't matter if you want me to put in a full bore, bring in my property manager and all the contractors, and we do everything up right and done right, or we just sell it as is. It doesn't matter. It's your choice. I'm happy to serve you how you need to be done. Choosing those updates are completely up to you, or it's smart, right? So think about it. If you're going to do redo a kitchen, I wouldn't do bolt together kitchens. It looks and feels not expensive. If you're going to spend money on cabinets, get decent cabinets. We went with our house. The first time we went with basic cabinets, and there was a leak, and the walls were made of particle board, and when we had a dishwasher leak, it just destroyed the boxes. So this time I spent a little bit more money. I want to say it was like 5 or 10% more. It wasn't as more. We went custom. We got custom everything we wanted, and everything she wanted, because I didn't want the paint. But that's not real. I don't give a shit. The paint, the kitchen depends on what you want. Now, if you're selling it, you don't want to go in and spend $150,000 on a kitchen unless your house is worth $5 or $6 or $7 million, right? So it depends on the house. It depends, right? If this house is worth 1.1 to 1.3, and then we can get it up to maybe 1.4, 1.5, depending on the market, it's up to you to decide how much money you're going to spend and what kind of ROI you're going to come out of it. I do always recommend that you do necessary repairs, any kind of like toilet leak, broken windows, anything that's safe for habitable issues. Like I had to put smoke alarms in one. It had CO detector. Anything that could be dangerous, like that pergola overhang, that could have been dangerous. It could fall over because it wasn't really all that done. Anything that needs to be done to present a whole house, I always recommend that we do that. And that's what we're doing. We're finishing this up. Today I'm going over their photography and video and drone and 360 and the whole 9 yards. And now we're going to get it on market by tomorrow. All right. So there you go. I just spent 10 minutes on this. Let's get to the next thing. Oh yeah, this episode is brought to you by Know a Vet. If you know a vet or you are a vet and you need help and having trouble with the VA, we work alongside the VA, but we have options for you to help get help in case you are struggling with PTSD and you're not getting it fast enough through the VA. Come to knowavet.org and get some help. If you know a vet that's suffering, we have champions that know how to talk to the vets and get them to get up and help. Okay, pros and cons. I'm going to read this to you real quick. So we're going to start with pros and cons of living in Silicon Valley. And there's a lot of cons, right? It's expensive. It's super expensive. This article specifically states that it's about $700,000. I can tell you that it's about 1.5 to 1.6 for a single family house in Santa Clara County and San Jose. Well, San Jose, it's expensive. It's bloody expensive to live here. Gas is more expensive. Food is more expensive. Labor is more expensive. Insurance is more expensive than pretty much anywhere else in the United States. Living here is expensive. But when you do come here and you get a high-tech job, which there's plenty of high-tech jobs, you're going to work with, the high-tech jobs come with high pay. So it kind of equals out. You might make more, but you're also going to pay more. And that's just the way it is here. For labor, it's more expensive. For my handyman, my contractors, we're paying out the tooth. My cleaners, it cost me like $850 just to clean a house, to do a deep clean. Not on schedule, which is normal, but she's doing a big, she's scrubbing everything. Everything's expensive, but you pay for it because you get paid more here, right? It's normal for engineers coming out of school to make about 200 grand, if not 300 with the hiring bonus. And upwards, once you get into management, directors, V and C level, you're making $500 million a year. So you can afford this type of stuff, right? There's $5 million houses. There's $20 million houses, $60 million houses here. So, the more you make, the better off you'll be. The further west you'll live. It's just the way it is. What's the other con is, you're going to be working long hours. It's corporate America. Corporate America here is live and strong, right? Expect to work a minimum of 8 hours. And yeah, you can telecommute, but you could be working 10, 12 hours a day, especially up against deadlines. So expect it. I did that when I was in corporate. I remember those hours. I don't have to do that anymore because I choose to work a commission-only job. And I make my own hours at the beck and call of my clients. You get to work with some of the best companies. It's true. Facebook, LinkedIn, now Apple, right? You have aerospace, Lockheed Martin's here. We have all sorts of amazing companies that are here. Not to mention we have Wells Fargo, which I know they're going through issues. We have Visa, Chevron up in the North Bay. There's all sorts of different companies here that you can work for, and they treat you really well, right? I remember going to Google and having lunch there. They feed you, right? That's awesome. They're demanding. These jobs are demanding, though. Remember, you're going to be working long hours. You have to know your stuff, and you have to constantly re-educate yourself. But you know what? Everybody has to stay educated on that. I remember seeing something where the half-life of an engineer is about 7 years, because technology is moving so fast that if you don't keep up with the new technology and new stuff, you're out of a job, right? Mindset. Yeah, you're going to make good money here, but again, you're working extra hours. There is a lack of job security. There's layoffs all day long, but here's the trick. If you're an engineer, if you're sales side, it's going to be a little more difficult, especially right now when the market's contracting, especially during layoff season. But if you're an engineer or you have a master's or PhD, you can pretty much snap your finger and have 3 job offers tomorrow. I see it all the time. I see it with my friends all the time. So remember that the loyalty you owe is to your family and to your God, and then to your work. Remember that. I know people are going to be like, Vito, you're full of crap. Uh, the other great thing about living in Silicon Valley, Santa Clara County, is that the weather is good all the time, right? Yesterday I was out there. I had to pull my jackets off because it was so beautiful out. Barely get any rain, which is a negative, right? Because sometimes we have forest fires in the Santa Cruz Mountains. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because we're doing really well with the weather. And, I'm in shorts almost all year round. And if it's a little chilly, you put some sweats on or some jeans on. This article does not mention the culinary delight that we have to offer here. Santa Clara County, Silicon Valley has attracted more Michelin rated restaurants than pretty much anywhere in the world, probably except for New York. We have all sorts of gastropubs. There's so much to do. There's so many different things. And the amazing thing is you're an hour away or two, maybe 4 if you're going to Tahoe, from anything you want to do. You want to go to San Francisco and see a show or a ballet. You want to go down to the beach, it's an hour away. You want to go skiing, it's 2.5 hours away, or 4.5, maybe 5 if you go to Tahoe. But there's Yosemite, there's sailing, there's hiking and biking and everything you can imagine. We have hockey, right? We have San Jose Sharks. Last place this year, go Sharks. So there you go. Lots of stuff to do, pros and cons. There's always little tiny things to do. Like last week, I went to go to, with my girls. One of their friends were in a musical. What's it called? Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. And it was put on by Bellarmine High School, an all boys club or school. And there were girls there in the play, obviously. And it was hilarious. It was funny. It wasn't professional or anything, but it was a great time. And we've seen a bunch of musicals. We have a couple musicals, more musicals that we're coming up with. And it's just fun to do different things. So there you go. All right. What else? Oh, NAR. Where's my NAR? Let's talk about NAR. Real estate's dysfunctional giant. We just got another lawsuit in Texas. I want to say it's in Dallas area for another $1.7 billion. This one was in Missouri. We have another one coming, and we're going to see how it goes. Here's my problem with it, right? I have never been a part of it. I don't want to be a part of it. My MLS requires me to be a part of it. They're the biggest lobbyist in the nation, so they can pretty much do whatever they want. $84 million in 2022, right? Now, is that a bad thing? It is, because when you donate to politicians, they're beholden to you and they're going to create policies in your favor. And I'm not for that. I am absolutely not for that. I'm for the client. I'm for serving the client's best interests. And sometimes it feels like they serve themselves. They serve their best interests. And I'm not a fan of politics. I'm not a fan of lobbyists or this type of union with so much power. And I think it's good that we're punching them in the nose. I think it's good that we're saving and changing things in this industry to better serve our clients. And that's really what it's all about. That's really, education, service, and overabundance of service and value. Right? So that's what it's about. All these links are in my blog, and the blog is linked to whatever it is you're watching. So please feel free to check this out. Last thing, this is a constant reminder thing. Title theft is on the rise. Again, it's education. This is just purely educational about things you can do. Check your title. Make sure your name is in it. Check with your parents. Make sure their house is in their name or in their trust's name. It's important. Read this. It's important that you watch this if you haven't yet. Okay, let's take a quick look. There's nothing really crazy going up. REOs, bank-owned properties, are going up slightly. They're ticking up slightly, which is the norm. We have a constant flow, but it's nothing spiky. We're not seeing, 2,500 or even 5 or 8,000 like we saw back in 2008 at any given time. We just don't have that. Inventory is still very low. These are 40 days on market and 90 days on market. These are just my two baselines that I'm looking at, and it's increasing, but not anything crazy. If you look at these numbers here, average sales price last year, we're $40,000, $37,000 away from last year's high or average. So what does that mean? I think our prices are holding steady. We did have a contraction. If you remember, back in March, April, May last year, we had a peak and then we came down, and now we're coming back. Our numbers are strong. Days on market is 17 versus 22. It's still a little inverted on the average, but that will disappear over time. And nothing else is spiking. So our market's doing really well. Everybody else is seeing, well, not everybody. Other places in the country are seeing price decreases, homes staying on market longer, a lot more negotiation. But we're the Silicon Valley, where we just talked about, there's a lot of high-paying jobs. There's a lot of people trying to move here so that they can have an amazing lifestyle. It's expensive to live here, but if you do it well, you're going to be paid well. All right. Today we talked about pros and cons living in Silicon Valley. We talked about, should you fix up your house before you sell it? And also, NAR is a big child that needs to be popped in the nose, or at least have a good spanking. I'm Vito with Abitano. We'll see you out there.